Hi, everybody. Welcome to AI Agents 101, the skill that'll 10x your career. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. My name is Jennifer Liu. This is Powell, and we will be doing a build session and an investment into how to build AI agents starting from scratch. Live in the session, so hope you all enjoy. This is a skill that'll be critical, and in general, it's critical to keep up with technology, especially in today's era with AI. So I'm excited for everybody to join us here today. Before we dive in, quick introductions. So my name is Jennifer Liu. I've spent my career in product management. Starting as an APM, I worked on everything from billing and payments to mobile before the iPhone, Android came out. I was able to start new businesses from scratch and follow through and grow it to multi-billion-dollar business. And worked in the craziness of startups, where I served as chief product officer and senior vice president most recently at a couple mid-sized startups. Now I'm in my second career, teaching and coaching, and loving every bit of it. So I'm excited to be here with all of you today. And we have Powell. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, so as you see, my name is Pavel. I've been working in product for more than 15 years, and right now I work as a AI Labs build leader with Maven and with product faculty, and I also write the Product Compass newsletter. And I'm excited to be here, and we will be discussing agents, which is my favorite topic right now.
Yeah, Powell's nice. If you haven't subscribed already, highly recommend. He has a very useful AI product newsletter. Highly recommend lots of useful nuggets for all of you. Okay. So today, AI Agents 101, what do we mean? Okay, today we're going to be building a working agent from scratch live. So no pressure, Powell. Okay, no coding, live walkthrough, and we'll build a truly autonomous agent that can perform various different tasks. We'll discuss how agents differ from LLM workflows. So learn why most agents online are actually static logic, but dressed up as intelligence. And then lastly, we'll learn how to build multi-agent systems. So hopefully all of this in the next hour. So kind of stay tuned, and the recording will also be posted on Maven. One quick note, we're hoping to have a few minutes to be able to take a few questions. Given the size of everybody here, it's difficult to take questions live. So we ask, and if you can, we have support if you can post it on the chat, the Slido link. If you can share your questions on Slido, we'll take some of the top ones during the session, and then the rest will follow up offline and get back to all of you with some of the top questions aggregated and responded to separately offline. But if you have any questions during the class, please do post on the Slido. Okay, and if we have support, there we go. We just posted the Slido link on the Zoom chat. So post your questions, vote up the questions right there. Okay, so everybody ready? So Powell, if you take over and get ready for the live demo, if everybody can unmute and say something like, "We're ready. Let's go. Let's get building.
Let's
Get
get
Let's
the
go.
energy up.
Let's go.
Do something.
Yay. Let's build something."
Okay, so I have not prepared any slides.
That's
The
okay. It's
first
all
thing,
about building.
so we will focus on building.
Yes.
And as
Mhm.
Jennifer, you already explained, I would like to focus on agents, which are autonomous, and they get an objective, and they should autonomously decide how we are going to achieve the goal. And most things that companies call agents currently on production are, in fact, I would argue that these are LLM workflows and highly linear pipelines. So they either look like this. I have two examples. So this is just a sequence of actions where calling an LLM might be one of the nodes. This is NAN, but you can see it also in other agentic frameworks or workflow frameworks when we perform a series of actions, and one of the steps is just an LLM, which generates something or parses information. Another type of LLM workflows are agents that pretend to be agents. So we theoretically we use an agentic node, and this looks like an agent. It has some LLM, it has tools, it has a memory, perhaps. But if we look into the prompt, there are those reasoning steps, and you can see them everywhere. So step one, take this tool and do something in another system. Step two, take the results or the outcomes and continue doing this and this. And this is like programming in English. There is little to no autonomy. The only autonomy is to interpret the instructions that are not code, and then the agent and LM is expected to take some actions. So I do not count this as autonomic, as a fully autonomous agent. So what I would like to present you today, and this has just became possible with GPT-5 and GPT 5.1. I've been running tests on multiple models. I've been criticizing that we are not yet ready for autonomy, but it turns out that recently it has just became possible. So the agent I would like to build is a market research agent, but I will not present any specific steps that the agent needs to take. Also, there will be no goal inside. And to do it in NAN, we can start by adding an agent node, which in different frameworks it is represented differently. Here, this is just an AI agent. And it will be connected to a chat trigger node, so it means that it will react to some message from the user. Next, an agent needs some tools, needs an LLM, so those are the building blocks. So let's start with an LLM, which is like the brain of the agent. And I would like to define that it will be using OpenAI, in this case, OpenAI 5.1. With an additional option that the reasoning effort will be medium, like the default one, but we could also try with low reasoning effort. Let's try it. So just to demonstrate that it's not on the verge of what is possible, we are already past this threshold. So we will be using low reasoning. Another element that the agent needs is a memory, so that when the user interacts with the agent can remember the previous interactions. So we do not need to collect the previous messages. It will just have an access to the chat history. And in NAN, this can be a simple memory. There are also other types of memory, like the long-term memory, and in that case, we would connect a database. But yeah, for our use case, simple memory stored just by the orchestration layer is fine. And one more tool before I start adding integrations that our market research agent might need is the Think tool, and this is critical. The Think tool is it's the pattern that in some papers is called a scratchpad. So it means that when the agent iterates and when it works with different tools, every time the tool produces a response, we call this agent again. And if there are multiple iterations, the first tool calls and the first messages can be lost in the history, so they can be just very far away. And this scratchpad allows the agent to note the most important facts, observations, or maybe an action plan, so that it is always on top of the context window and it will never be lost. And I will just keep the default description. So this is a market research agent. So I would like to connect a few tools. One tool is memory, and in this case, this is not an MCP server. This is a built-in integration. I would like to connect a Google Sheet in which I have let me check what is the Okay, that's not the correct account, so I need to select a different one, and the document I'm interested in is Pavel sheet within document from list Acrydia competitors. So this is an existing Google sheet in my account, and it will read information from the first sheet. Okay, that's fine. So this tool can be used to get information about the competitors. Of course, the agent doesn't know what to do with it, and part of context engineering is setting descriptions for tools. So instead of relying on automatic description that will just say probably get rows in sheet using Google account, which is not helpful, I can explain the agent that this tool allows you to get information about competitors. So it knows when to use it. Another tool that might be helpful for a market research agent, by the way, let's rename it, can be Perplexity. So it can perform browser search. And I have previously defined different credentials. So that's why I do not have to define them here. But if that wasn't the case, you need to go to the Perplexity API and generate an API key. The message will be generated by the agent. I will only suggest to simplify the output, but yeah, the prompt for another AI will be defined by our research agent. So the agent decides what it wants to retrieve and where and when. Okay, another one when it creates after it creates a research, perhaps it wants to connect a Notion collection. For that, I will connect an MCP server, and this is almost the last tool. So the endpoint of Notion MCP is this one. Those are just the parameters from Notion documentation. Actually, I wouldn't have to use MCP at all because NAN has built-in connectors, so I can just browse for ready-to-use integrations, but I want to demonstrate using MCP as well. And because we care about the context, we do not want to clutter the context with the tools that the agent doesn't need. I will just select specific tools, not all tools that are possible. So Notion search, it might be needed. Another one is Notion fetch to get information about a specific site or object. And I would also like it to create pages and create databases so that it can, for example, create a report. How do we update page? Let's say it's not needed. So those 4 operations. Okay, and the last one that we might need just to demonstrate, previously it was a big problem that agents were unable to operate with more than 2, 3 tools. Right now, they can do it much, much better. So this tool allows it to send a message. Just in case, I will suggest that this message should be sent to Pavel Product Compass PM, which is my email, but the subject will be defined by the agent. Let's try again. So the subject will be defined by the agent, email type will be HTML, and the message also will be defined by the model. Okay, now we have our agent, and we are missing one element. If maybe someone knows what we are missing here. So we are missing the system prompt, which is the core element for the agent. So the last element is defining a system prompt. And unlike in an example that I presented at the beginning, we will not hard code what this agent is supposed to do. So instead, I will use the system message option, and here give it a generic framework on how to approach user queries. So, of course, an agent cannot do everything. It needs to have some focus, like, for example, market research. But other than that, it should use the available tools to make a plan, to execute this plan step by step, to reflect on the progress after each step, and then decide on what to do next. And in this prompt, I also asked to do not ask clarifying questions, make assumptions as needed. So it focuses on performing the task if it is possible. Never wait for input. So again, it will not ask the user, hey, what I should do or what should be the format of the report. And this is the generic loop that I have refined in the last weeks. So the loop is like this, that first you should create a plan describing what to search, what tools to use, what to do, then execute this plan step by step using available tools, refining information that you have. Then update the plan and store the result in the Scratchpad that I mentioned. So this is the think tool. And stop only when every part of the user request is fulfilled. And I also added some rules for the tools, like when to use think tool, when to use research tools, and how to use them. And Perplexity is just one of the examples. How to use sheets and how important they are, how to use Notion, just generic assumptions, output style, and some behavioral constraints. So never ask questions. It was at the beginning, but repeating it at the end increases the chance that it will follow the instructions, although GPT 5 and 5.1, they do it pretty well. And that's it. Of course, we are building it live, so let's see how it will work. One more thing that I forgot is making sure that by default, it can iterate only 10 times. 10 times might be too little, so I will increase this number. And in case when it is needed, it will continue and continue until the objective is reached. Okay, how can we test that? We can test that without any third-party tool, just using the built-in interface. So I will open the chat. And if I made a mistake, I will switch to working example that I built. But let's try this one. So my prompt will be that for each competitor, find up to 5 news published within the last 90 days. And focus on new products, new features, new capabilities, user complaints. Then go to Notion and create Notion database competitors monitoring. And for each competitor, create a report inside that database. I do not explain where it should get competitors from. I do not explain that it should call Perplexity. I do not explain which tools and in which order from this Notion MCP client it should use. It needs to figure it out on its own. So let's see if it will do that. Okay, so it is thinking. We see some thoughts inside the think tool. It called MCP before calling Perplexity, but I assume that this call was about, it was trying to define the plan. So it was looking for whether the competitors monitoring database exists. So far, everything looks correct. It downloaded the list of competitors from this Google Sheet. Let's preview it. So we have a credible, credential, certifier, and based on those competitors, it now performs Perplexity calls. And for each of those competitors, it needs to create a prompt, get the results, interpret the results, and based on that, it needs to create a new database inside my Notion. And once the database is in place, it should call Notion once again to insert records. That would be a logical order. So let's see if the next message will be calling MCP again, just to insert the records. And in the meantime, I can, oh, it is doing something. So let's wait for the result. I can demonstrate that a moment ago, it created a competitors monitoring database, but it is still empty. And after I refresh the page, you can see the reports for different competitors. I can open one of them and see that, yeah, there are some news related to competitors. There are also links, and those are the sources from Perplexity where this information was found. So it figured out using like Perplexity, Google Sheets, calling this MCP client without a single error in the right order. So probably searching for a database, maybe searching even for the second time inside that trash, creating a database with the right name and then inserting records. But that's not all that it can do because we gave it a memory. So I can now ask it to, I can continue. Please add Amazon research to that Notion collection, Notion database. And right now the tools that it will call should be different. So it already has information in memory, in simple memory, about the existing database, about yeah, Notion collection. So all it needs to do is to call Perplexity for a new competitor, Amazon, and then call MCP server to create a new record. And there is no plan, there is no step by step. It figures out how to do it on its own. Okay, and we can also preview what it thinks. Okay, Perplexity returned 5 Amazon. So as we see, the first one was creating a plan. Then the second was the update of the plan. And yeah, it says that it created something. So let's see whether we have a record for Perplexity for Amazon. Yes, we have. It's here with all the sources. Last thing, please send me this report as an email with okay. So I would like to get this report and send the report as an email message. Okay, let's see. I will share my email once I get it. Okay, so that's the message. So it figured out not only Amazon, but included the entire conversation history and all the findings. That was not that obvious that it should remember about this first set of competitors that it got from Google Sheets. Okay, so what is important here? The first important thing when building agents is managing the context. So for example, we need to provide all the information or the context that an agent needs in order to perform its tasks effectively. But in this case, if the task is not hard-coded, the objective is not hard-coded, we need to make sure that the agent can retrieve the context. This can be either a retrieval, like a vector database, and can also add, for example, Pinecone here or other vector store, but we can also retrieve it from specific documents or specific sheets or other sources. We need to make sure that we compress the context, like here when calling Perplexity, because Perplexity calls can be really, like the output can be quite huge. So that's why I simplified the output to optimize token consumption. And we don't get different information about each of the sites. That was like we only get snippets and condensed information with the sources without all the unnecessary details that we might not need. What is essential and what we can see here is that we make sure that every tool has a good description. Otherwise, agents are confused. And this is problematic with MCP because in MCP servers, in MCP, the tools get descriptions that are defined by the author of the MCP. But in that case, you can add additional information in the system prompt. And also, I filtered tools to, again, avoid context window bloat. So if we include like 10, 20, 30 tools an agent doesn't need, all those tools and all those tools descriptions will be included in every prompt. And an agent iterates not once, but if we look at the execution logs, after every tool call requires an LLM to stop. We call a tool, then read information from memory and call an LLM again and include the entire history of all the information, all the output that the tools produced previously. So we really need to take care about optimizing those those tokens whenever possible. And I'm not going to present building more complex systems in detail today, but I just wanted to briefly demonstrate what you can do. So of course, we cannot define an agent that will have 100 tools and ask it to do anything. In more complex systems, we try to define agents that have a specific responsibility, like the research agent. Even though I can ask it to send an email, it specializes in research. It has Perplexity, it has some databases, has access to key documents related to competitors or maybe information about our product, information about our business context. But in larger systems, and this is a working multi-agent research system, which is a clone of Anthropic multi-agent research, we have agents with specific role and specific competences. So for example, customer support agent, its goal is to refine the user query, ask additional questions, and only once we are sure that we understand what the user wants to do, then we forward the message to the orchestrator. And this is very typical role that we have this one key agent that distributes tasks. The lead agent analyzes the research scope and defines tasks for sub-agents. So in this case, each of the sub-agents gets a specific research topic. Like, for example, if the goal would be to research Amazon revenue 2020, 2024, then every sub-agent uh, could get a different continent, for example, or different perspective for some financial metrics, or maybe one sub-agent would get information about market trends just to enrich the report. And then each of those sub-agents has its own tools and specializes in a specific area. So for example, like here, every search sub-agent knows how to fetch websites, knows how to use Brave Search, in this case, not Perplexity. And its goal is to distill the report for the specific research topic. And even though it is not very agentic because it basically gets a research topic, even in those cases, I try to define the broader context. So just like with humans, we avoid defining step-by-step instructions. Instead, it's better to explain the larger objective and let's so that a person or here AI can make better decisions. So it's similar with LLMs that I explained that your goal is to explore research topic, but you are one of the sub-agents and this is the broader research context. So this allows me to use shorter prompts and then use less tokens. And usually you get much better results when you just give the broader information rather than rather than trying to explicitly say do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and don't ask me any questions. I know what I'm doing. If you provide this broader perspective, they can adapt to the situation. Okay, and the last agent here, and I can share this diagram later if that's possible. Is the copywriter agent, which gets information about from this lead agent, research agent, and then creates a report as a markdown. Then we convert this markdown to PDF and upload this PDF with research to a Google Drive. I have presented it in the past. So those multi-agent systems and the ease of orchestration and flexibility of the platform, and also combining agents with traditional workflows. Like you see here, some elements are not even in agents. They are just part of the workflow, like converting Markdown to PDF or uploading to Google Drive, because we know that they will never change. That's why in my opinion, Nanayan is the best platform for creating agents and multi-agent systems without coding, and you can also build LLM workflows. They are just not very agentic. Okay, and that's all I had to present for today. I'm really excited that, yeah, like I've been criticizing agents and whether they are possible or not. And right now, when I run tests like 100 times, sometimes I get 100 correct executions, even in those maybe not super complex, but quite complex cases.
Okay. Powell, I'm always impressed. You have this very calm way of building live and kind of debugging and fixing things live. So I'm impressed. Everybody, couple quick things. One, the recording will be shared next week, and we'll take this time to also answer some questions before we wrap. So, and then whatever questions we don't get to, we'll also try to aggregate some of the top ones and respond offline. So I'm going to post on the chat the Slido link. Atik, who is behind the scenes, if you can project the Slido questions, and then Powell, if we could take a few of the top questions, I think it sounds like. You ready? This is live. Okay. So these are all anonymous, so I'll read on the behalf. The first top question is, can you please explain what is a thinking tool and how it differs from memory?
Yeah, thinking tool is specifically designed for agents to store information that is needed across executions. And all memory tool does is that it remembers the output. So let's say I'm talking to an agent. I send a message. The agent replies. I'm sending a second message. The agent replies, and then we get this list, like in ChatGPT, this list of questions and answers, and this list can become very large and long. And eventually, if it is not compressed, and in most frameworks it is not compressed by default, uh, those first messages will be cut. So it can remember, for example, 5 or 10 recent messages and responses. The think tool is different. If I place something in the think tool, it will always be injected uh, to the context of the agent. So it is not if I can call the agent 100 times, and unless the specific implementation of the think tool restricts the amount of information I can store there, it will always be available, it will always be visible. It is not erased by the conversation. So for example, we have ChatGPT memory feature that you can mention something. ChatGPT decides that it will store this information, and then yeah, you can retrieve it much later. Uh, the difference is that the think tool, when I talk about the history, it's the agent making internal iterations. So in order to finish a task, an agent, for example, must iterate 20, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, if we are talking about long running agents. And this, what is placed inside the think tool, it will always be available in every iteration. And memory is like between different agent calls.
Okay, the next question also
Okay.
from Anonymous.
I hope that answers the question.
Hope that answers. Uh, is there a way for the agent to understand what kind of news it has written on Notion already? For example, the past iteration to not repeat itself with the same news.
Yeah, in this case, the agent, like between my different messages, the think tool was not available, but it had a memory. So as long as we do not write too much, it would remember the previous conversations. But also the tools that I selected, it was Notion Search, Notion Fetch, so it can search for objects inside Notion collection, and it can also get specific data from Notion. And another, yeah, so it can just open, but it needs to know what we are looking about. If if I can name the page and say, hey, I want to create a new um, something inside the secret notes collection, it will probably use the search tool to look for those secret notes, and then it will figure out whether it exists or not. Yeah, and similarly, if I want to add a new note, uh, it can use this fetch tool to read information from the database and compare it to what I want to insert.
Okay. So hope that answers some questions. We're going to see if we could get to more questions, but I want to quickly pivot to share a little bit of context. So this is all part of the AI product management certification. So for those of you who haven't taken or heard of the class already, this is a class taught directly by Mehrdad Jaffer, OpenAI product lead. So we have lots of different modules. He goes into depth, also demos, and talks about his experiences and case studies. There'll also be multiple group exercises and live executive guests to really be able to see, okay, this is the concept, but how does this work in real life? And what are some of the real challenges people have experienced and learn from some of those lessons? And then one of the best ways to learn is to build. So alongside with this course will be a capstone project. This is where you will build your own AI-powered feature or product with plenty of support. So we have AI Build Labs with Powell Huron. We'll be providing hands-on support and help you debug what's going on, any issues that you're facing. And you can connect with a network of over 10,000 AI product professionals in the alumni network. So I've been in product for some time, as has Powell. This is a really good full-featured course to be able to really understand some of the key concepts, to be able to see, okay, how does it work in real life? To be able to do and build something yourself with the right support so you're not alone, and then connect with fellow peers in the industry.
Yeah, many of those questions, it's much easier if you just open, it might be an AN, it might be a different tool. But if you try to build something yourself, a lot of those questions that they're really difficult to answer if we read theoretical posts, it becomes everything becomes easy and intuitive once you start building.
I think it was McDad who once said, it's like playing a sport. You can learn, read about it, kind of read about it in theory, try to like understand the concepts, but the best way to learn is to just start building, start doing it. So this course, it's the top-rated AI product management certification course on Maven, and we're having a special sale. So 25% off. So if you might be interested, I would at least recommend saving the code. We just posted it on the chat. So you'll get 25% off up until this Sunday. As I said earlier, it's the highest rated Maven course, over 10,000 AI PMs, one of the highest rated of any program on Maven, taught by OpenAI product leader McDad Jaffer. And you'll have lots of support, community, case studies, everything to be able to help you along with your career journey as well. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to follow up. I wanted to give this highlight, and then we'll see if we can get to a few more questions. Okay, so let's go back to a few questions. And if you have any questions about the course, feel free to ping on chat as well. All right, Powell, you ready for some more questions?
Yeah, sure.
This is all live. Okay. I think did we cover this? We covered the Notion one already, right?
Yeah, it's if it has the right tools, it can do that.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. I think the download will follow up offline. What is an MCP client, and how do you know what architecture you need and which tools to implement the functionality?
Uh, MCP client is like USB for agents. So it's just a standard of how agents can communicate, agents or LLMs can communicate with external systems, like a standard protocol. And this specific MCP server, I just typed MCP server Notion in Google and I got the address. So configuring MCP servers, uh, it is always like there are three variants, but basically it always almost every time it looks the same. So we need some URL if we are talking about external server, like in this case, MCP provided by Notion. We typically get some documentation with the list of methods. Uh, we can generate a token or authenticate with user account. And then after connecting, we can see the list of methods and each method is described so that the agent can figure out which tools it needs. I didn't build any architecture. That it is a standard architecture of how MCP servers work. And all you need is to find the right server. Almost every app, every product, popular app and popular product already has some kind of MCP server.
Next question. These are all from Anonymous. In which flows, like market research, etc., have AI agents excelled, where outputs meet or exceeds your expectations, and which flows have they struggled?
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. So agents, I would say that agents, even though they show some level of autonomy that was not possible before, and this is relatively new in my opinion, even though we've been hearing about autonomous agents for like almost a year, but it was not it worked in labs. Now it starts working for real applications. But it is still limited autonomy. So yeah, it can perform a market research and can collect information. Uh, Usually you need a human to verify the output either way because it can make a mistake. Even if this is one mistake every 200 times or 500 times, you still need a person. Uh, One category that definitely exceeded my expectations are coding agents, and they are going better and better really fast. So that's one area that they really excel. And
Okay.
still they struggle. The more tools, the more um, uncertainty, the more context is needed to understand, and the more time you need to complete the task, uh, the more agents struggle and they are unable to perform a task that requires a few hours of thinking. We are not there yet.
Okay, next question. And everyone, we're going to try our best. Though there are 50 questions and we have a handful of minutes left. So again, we'll aggregate and try to respond to some of the top ones offline. Powell, next question. When deploying AI agents in production for SaaS applications, when
Mhm.
is it appropriate to use N8N versus a Python coded tool, with or without standard frameworks like Crew AI? Any thoughts on that?
It depends. Like an AN, it's not just a visual, like it is a workflow automation platform, but all the agentic capabilities are built on top of LangChain. And in particular, you can just access the source code. It is open source, but you cannot do everything with the code, but you can for your internal use cases. And if you are not selling any end to others, you can modify everything at your nodes, at your code. So yeah, uh, I would actually, if you have developers and they have an existing infrastructure, maybe some solutions, and want to integrate agents with existing CI/CD, it might be better to use an existing because like defining agent in Python, it is not that complex. If you want to learn about agents as a product manager, it might be easier uh, to use Visual Framework rather than trying to learn how to code. Crew AI, one limitation that is worth to remember is that many agentic frameworks do not have this non-AI orchestration element, and sometimes you need to design a process that some parts of the process are just take a document and always the same document, convert this document to a different format or react to some event in external system, and only one element in the process is agent, and then after agent performs its task, we continue with the standard process. So if you have a framework like Crew AI where everything is an agent or agent communicating to another agent, when you need to embed it inside the business process that you want to automate, you still need to do some coding or find some workarounds around it. And I like NAN because it allows you also to include those deterministic logic and deterministic blocks where if you do not need if you don't need AI, there is no reason to use AI for standard things.
Okay, we have a non-technical question here, but more of a logistical one. Fantastic session. Thank you. I didn't understand everything, but could you please clarify if the course is for advanced learners only or if it's open to beginners? So I'll just quickly share out, and we'll post again on the chat. So this is the AI product management certification. It's taken by over 10,000 product leaders. No coding experience needed. You don't need an engineering background as well. This is intended to help you acquire the skills and have the support needed to really be able to keep up and step up in this AI era that we live in today. So as you can see here, you'll learn about AI, but in the context of product development. There'll be various different experiences for how to drive adoption for the product. We'll have Powell to be able to help you figure out how do these tools, how do I actually build it, and the support that you need. And then you can see here, you'll also be learning directly from Mcdad Jaffer, who is currently a product lead at OpenAI. So full featured course, if you are interested, we'll again post on the chat. A promo code to get 25% off before if you decide to take before this Sunday. Okay, with that, back to regular programming, we can squeeze in maybe a couple more questions. And again, we'll follow up with any other questions offline. All right. Powell, we'll share prompts.
Yeah, I can share the prompt.
You can share the prompt? Okay.
Yeah, sure. And the diagram.
Okay, I'm looking at. Would be interested to get a general feel of the token burn for the demoed agentic workflow. I think you used 150K of NAN credits, which for that task alone would require an enterprise plan. Can you describe more about the tokens? Generally what to expect, Powell?
Yeah, it is possible that we used. Sorry, I closed the window. The window, but if I can look the executions, previous executions, it was probably like yeah, in total it might be something like the first call it was around 50,000 tokens, something like that. Yeah, so the point is, if I were to schedule a cyclical report for competitors monitoring, there is no point to use an autonomous agent because I can figure out what are the steps, like take competitors from Google Sheet, then for each competitor, ping Perplexity, then go to database. I know this database exists, so just add elements with specific properties and specific content inside and format it this and this, and that's your task. So for that, you do not need AI at all. You can just design blocks that will perform those actions and trigger it regularly. Yeah, you need AI when you want to a system that supports a broad range of tasks, especially agents, because we would probably need AI to summarize those findings from Perplexity, but all the other steps, it could be just a code. But if you want just to have a market researcher, like in this case, and be able to ask it, give it any goal without predicting what we will ask it for in advance, then that's a great application for for agents, autonomous agents. Otherwise, for standard business processes, we should probably give it less autonomy and also minimize tokens, but by moving some of the actions like get competitors, create elements in Notion. This could be standard logic. It doesn't have to be something called by an agent. None of the tasks would require enterprise plan because it's the enterprise plan. It's only about the history, which in the newsletter I also described how you can ethically hack NAN to find workarounds around those restrictions. So it is not a problem in this. How do you conduct evals? Can we take this one? Okay. So in order to do evals, we need to first uh, analyze the logs. So instead of assuming how the system will fail, there are two approaches. One is that we make a guess that the system can hallucinate or can do something else, and then design evals around it. And that's the wrong approach. The correct approach is to uh, analyze the logs. So we do it either with synthetic data or by analyzing real user queries if we have real traffic. And then we try to figure out how the system failed across broad range of different prompts and responses. And based on that, we identify failure modes, quantify how often different failure modes appear. And depending on the failure type, we can either, of course, we can fix the prompt and we can do it manually. Or if we cannot fix the prompt, we can design a code-based eval. So this is just like a regular expression or JSON validation, or the output must be a valid HTML. Or if it is not possible, we define an LLM as judge, which is about using another LLM to judge the response. But what's key is that we start with looking at the data to discover those app-specific metrics, because those app-specific metrics, this is the biggest problem, not hallucinations, not because what it means, hallucinations, what it means in your app, in your specific application. Yeah, and in NAN you can add evals like in any other agentic platform. You can also define guardrails, and you can run those evals regularly, just to make sure that there is no drift of the model.
All right, everybody, with that, we're going to wrap up. Again, reminder, this is the biggest sale of the year that we've had. So 25% off the AI product management certification. It's a good course. Been in product for a long time. It's full featured to be able to really get you hands-on, but also the support, the content, the lessons that you need. So highly recommend. Um, for those of you who have any questions, feel free to ping us. We'll also be sharing the recording and some of the prompts and follow-ups offline as well. So everybody give a huge thank you to Powell for building live with all of us, answering questions, and we'll follow up afterwards with as many questions as we can afterwards too. Thank you all for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you. It was amazing to see so many people, and I will share additional materials after the session.